Lolita fashion is not cheap. The most common question people ask me is like, how can I afford the brand? Or like, what do I do for work? So I'm going to ask you the same question because I'm sure people are curious.
Now I can afford Lolita. Like I'm throwing money left and right for Lolita, but I'm a senior product designer. So like I've gone up the ladder and now I get paid pretty well. But when I first started, I didn't have a job. My parents were like the kind where like, you need to study and not work because if you work, you're going to be distracted from studying and not graduate. So that was like their mentality. And I'm like, well, I want to buy this dress. What do I do? And so I was really crafty. So like I would do commissions, I would make stuff. And then when I did buy a dress, if I wanted a new dress and there was a dress that I didn't wear anymore, I did not hesitate to sell it.
I feel like nowadays new Lolitas have so much options to just get started. Like I'm sure like when you started, not only like your options are very limited, it's like the range of like the budget to buy those dresses was like always like something we had to save up for.
And so, or some weird shady shopping service to get their Lolita. Like, I mean, that was like the late 2000s. Like the internet was like very different back then. So we didn't have that. But what was there was a lot of like resources and DIY. So like if you like search the old Lolita internet, like there's a lot of like tutorials and scanlations and translations from old GLBs on like how to make practically everything and how to craft like anything. So that was really helpful.
Is there anything you would kind of give an advice to like Lolita starting now? Is there like any particular like resources that you would suggest them to look into?
You know, the most common thing when I first started wearing Lolita was like, go to the Lolita resources on EGL. And I'm like, it's just another form with a bunch of links. It's all text and no pictures. But nowadays, like there's YouTube videos about Lolita and some of them are kind of a little boring. It's just like just listen to it like a podcast when you're like on your way to work and just listen to it and just try to understand. I think that's like the best way. That's also kind of the fun part because you kind of learn a little bit about the history and then you also see all the cool pictures and understand.
So now I want to introduce a part of your life that maybe some followers already know or don't know, but you're like an amazing like illustrator and you also draw a lot of fashion illustrations. Can you tell me what came first? Like, is it like your love for like illustration or is it like because of Lolita fashion?
I've always liked to draw. Like before Lolita, I was like that weeb that always drew on the corner of her sheet, like in her homework. But it was really cool because like even before Lolita, I would draw like my outfits. Like I'll be going out with a bunch of friends, so I'll just draw my outfit. And so with Lolita, there's a lot of like themed events. So like my brain would just go crazy and start drawing like all these ideas until like I pick the one that I like and I'd go through like different drafts and eventually kind of evolved from there and just kind of made it like my job basically.
Can you maybe talk a little bit more about your process of wearing Lolita fashion or like things you're drawn in Lolita fashion then?
Yeah. So it'll start with maybe there's a dress that I really want to wear. Like I'll be like, oh, there's Mercator. There's a twinning meet. My friend has Mercator too. Maybe I should draw a coordinate that, you know, it's a little bit more simplified, but still fits the theme. Or if there's like a themed event, I know I did it for Bay Area OTTT party. And I was like, I want to do a mariachi theme because like, I love mariachis, like growing up watching mariachis like sing. It actually didn't start as a mariachi theme. Like I did all kinds of like Mexican inspired outfits just because that's like half of my culture and I really wanted to show that and it just kind of like devolved to like all mariachi things. And so like it's just like a whole process. Like it's just like I want to do this theme and then as I go and revise the drafts, like it just narrows it down to like until that's the one. I remember there's a commission I'm working on still and I feel bad because like I'm running late on this commission, but it was like she asked me to draw her dream coordinate. I'm like, the more I draw the CDC, you know, Crystal Dream Carnival, the more I want this dress. And I always thought like the other carnival pony dresses were better. And now I kind of want this one because like it's such a cute coordinate. So yeah, definitely people have great ideas.
Can you tell me, do you think your hobby, does that impact your career like in any way?
Because I do see like the Lolita inspired stuff in the market now. Like you see it in Hot Topic, you see it with Halloween costumes. So sometimes they will ask me, tell me something like Sanrio inspired but with Lolita. And I'm like, oh boy, how do I make this not so tacky? Either like it's Lolita or it's not, and you know it's not one or the other. So there's a lot of like situations like that. I work more in like Halloween costuming now, so that's a lot of what I do. So if you see a Lolita outfit there, that wasn't me. I'm just saying.
It's like, please don't come to me. Please don't cancel me.
That's not me. I haven't done it. We do more licensing stuff. Lolita has actually like kind of disciplined me and just like focusing on details on outfits. That's something that I did notice in fashion, you have to actually call everything out, like every pleat, every dart, every ruffle, and the kinds of ruffles and all these things. And like that really helps in the fashion industry is just knowing all of that and understanding the construction. And if you can do all the crazy stuff, then you can do a lot of the more market ready stuff too.
Let's talk a bit about like Lolita communities. Like, where are you based, and like, are you part of like a Lolita community?
I'm part of the LA community in the United States, so like I'm in California, Southern California. So for a while, there wasn't really much of a community. I used to be one of the moderators for like the dawn of time in Lolita, like an actual official moderator. I don't even remember when I started. I know it was like in the 2010s, but like I was hosting meetups like consistently even before that. And everyone knew that if I had a meetup, like a lot of people would go. And so eventually, like me and a group of girls were like, let's just make this official and like just post a Facebook group. And then we had a Facebook group and like that blew up too. So like I think one of our biggest meetups had like 130 people inside the tea place, or just like we would rent out venues and do everything ourselves. And like we were like a whole team and it was really cool, but it was also exhausting. So we were like, okay, we're retiring from being mods now. We attend meetups. Like we also dress Lolita. After that, there wasn't really much going on. Like there'll be sprinkles of meetups every now and then, but very rarely. And since the pandemic happened, I think there was like a resurgence in Lolita fashion. Like everyone just started wearing Lolita all over again. I think because there was a there was still the LA group on Facebook. It just wasn't as active. And so people were like, hey, let's join a Discord. It's like a whole community again, but now on Discord instead of Facebook. So it's like the next generation of like LA Lolita community. I'm actually hosting like one of my first meetups in a real. So I did host some like ILDs, but it was like kind of like a small ILD with like my friends who are also in the auntie group with me who are just tired and jaded in life. So like we did that like when things started to open up during the pandemic. I'm hosting like my first like in the community meetup soon, and I'm like, oh, this is really nerve-wracking. Like even then I'm doing a very laid back meetup. It's just like a drawing meetup or like where people just draw or like they journal or they read a book or just gossip, whatever, just like a hangout at a cafe.
What is like something you're like looking forward to?
I would love to see slightly larger sizing for OPs. Like I'm not asking plus size. I'm just asking, can it not be 88 centimeters so that it can fit my adult size,
can it be
please?
88 centimeters and others? Like, give us like options.
Because I'm really happy that AP is kind of embracing like those like simpler OPs. Like me and the other aunties are loving it, but like we're not buying it. They don't fit us. A nice cotton OP to wear in the summer by AP, that would be fantastic.
I do notice like maybe not AP. Like AP always takes a bit like longer to get up to speed with things, but like Metamorphose and Atelier Pierrot, like there's a lot more like listening to Western market, because I also do think overall international market is quite strong in trying to keep like all the Lolita brands going. I'm part of the corporate world for a reason. Like, I must support Japanese economy.
Oh my goodness. I feel like sometimes I like to think like Tenchi's like my debt collector. For
it's the Lolita tax.
A good story about Tenchi too. It's like, so usually, you'll get a ding from PayPal or your email saying, hey, I've got your stuff. Congratulations. Pay, right? So one time I remember like, it was like a month where I didn't have anything, or I had just like paid whatever I did. And then I would see like my PayPal like ding, and then it was like Tenchi. And I'm like, oh, what did I buy that I didn't know? And it turns out she actually bought one of my stickers. And I was like, like a rare moment, but like the thought of like, oh my gosh, what do I owe you?
Yes. Yeah.
I think if there's anything I've gotten excited about in Lolita, I would say it's the fault of like my NorCal friends, because if you don't know NorCal, like Northern California girls, like because there's a baby store there, they love to collect the usakumiyas, and some of them have like the craziest collections. So they'll be like, hey, so like baby such and such in Japan has a limited edition like Kuma. It's really cute. Do you want to join the group order so that we can divide up Tenchi's like
the fees,
like shipping and the fees? And I'm like, oh, this is such a good idea, but no. And they're like, it's anniversary Kuma, and I'm like, oh my god. It was super worth it. She's very cute. My kid was very cute.
Thank you so much for joining me here, and I'm really looking forward for everyone to listen to us. Just be like the excited aunties. How can people find you online?
I just have an Instagram, and it's I am potato.
Bye bye.